Welcome to my channel. I want to talk about the recent recruiting and transfer portal information regarding Colorado football. But before I do that, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming to my channel, for viewing my videos, for liking them, for commenting on them, for sharing them. And I want to especially thank those of you who have subscribed to my channel. I'm amazed by the growth, I'm amazed by the interest, and I just can't thank you enough. There's been a lot of people freaking out about what's going on at Colorado, especially in the early days before the transfer portal opened, and all of a sudden people were leaving and they thought, oh my God, what's going on? Colorado's collapsing. There was a lot of jabber on social media about how they were leaving Prime because they didn't like him. So I just wanted to go over the people that left and then talk about the people that have committed since the transfer portal opened. The first one is Caleb Foria. Caleb Foria was a tight end, and I don't remember him playing. It says he played 6 games. He scored on a 2-point conversion attempt. That's it. That's all he did. So he wasn't a huge contributor. But Colorado didn't have a lot of tight ends, successful tight ends. The only one they had was Mikey Hankerson, and he's not really a tight end. He's a pass receiver who was converted to tight end because he was the only guy that they thought should be playing regularly. So losing Caleb, while it's a loss to the tight end room, it's probably not a loss that hurts them. The next one is Marvin Ham. He was a linebacker, and he had some production. He had 36 total tackles. He had a sack. He had a pass breakup. But there were other linebackers that played more than he did, and I think he just felt like he would get more playing time playing somewhere else. So he left. Again, I don't think it's a huge loss. It's certainly replaceable. Offensive tackle Gerard Christian Lichtenhan goes by the name Tank. Yes, he started 11 games at left tackle, but if you watch the games, Tank struggled with pass protection. He really did. Far too many times he got beat. And so I don't know where he'll end up, but I suspect it will be at a what I guess you could call a lower level school, not one of the top Power 5 schools. I don't think he'll get any offers from places like Alabama or Georgia or Texas or Ohio State or any of the big boys. He's probably going to be playing somewhere like, where Sean Lewis went, San Diego State, that type of level of ball. The next one is Van Wells. He was the center, and that was a loss. Van played 11 games, started in 10 of them. He did have some injuries. He did okay, but he didn't grade out that well. And I think while I suspect that they would have kept him if he had stayed, they'll replace him now that he's left. And in fact, they've already replaced him with somebody else. Anthony Hankerson. He was the second most productive running back on a very unproductive running back group. He had 78 carries for 319 yards and 1 touchdown. The thing that I noticed about Hankerson when he was playing was that he didn't have what they call wiggle. He just ran straight into guys and got tackled. And so, again, I don't think it's a great loss. They've got Alton McCaskill, who should be healthy next year, and he's, at least he was when he was a freshman, a fantastic running back. And they've got, what's his name? The little kid. Their top running back, can't even think of his name right now, who scored 4 touchdowns at TCU game. So I don't think the running back room suffers very much at all. They'll have others. Savion Wilkerson can replace him. And Savion was getting more playing time towards the end anyway. So again, not a huge loss. Cason Wiseman. He was a freshman quarterback. I think he was recruited by Sean Lewis. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at San Diego State. He didn't get any playing time at all. And it's my understanding that Prime is now looking for older quarterbacks, like ones with 1 or 2 years of eligibility left, to use as a backup to Shedeur should Shedeur get injured. So, again, I don't think this was a great loss to the team. Mikey Harrison, that was a loss. Mikey had 31 catches for 284 yards and 5 touchdowns, and I believe he got 2 two-point conversions in the Colorado State game. So he was productive, and it hurts to see him go, but I think Mikey was unhappy with playing tight end. I think he wanted to be a receiver, and he's going elsewhere to see if he can be a receiver. And they've got plenty of receivers. They need more tight ends. They need to get some bigger tight ends, ones that can block. Mikey was not big, and he didn't block. And then finally it was Chernett Estes. I don't even remember this guy, but apparently he played in 7 games. I don't think he got a single pass reception. So that's not a huge loss. And Cole Bossia, he was a walk-on. He played in 5 games. I don't think he had a single reception. So while, you always hate to lose players, I mean, these are players that their loss is not going to really hurt them. Now let's talk about who's transferring in. There's been a flurry of activity, and it's all been offensive linemen. We need to see some defensive linemen come in, but so far it's been offensive linemen. Amari Ward is from Jackson State, where Prime came from. He tried to transfer last year, but couldn't because of his grades. So apparently he got his grades up, and this year he's transferring to Colorado. He's a pretty big guy. I think he's like 305, 6'3", 6'4", 305. So, and he's an offensive lineman. So they need help on the offensive line, and obviously he could be a help. Yakiri Walker is coming from the University of Connecticut. He was the starting center, and he graded out at 65.5, which is, it's okay. He was the lowest graded lineman on UConn, and he only weighs 270. So I don't know if they're taking him as somebody they think they can develop or what, but he's pretty small for an offensive lineman. Tyler Johnson, coming from Houston. Tyler played 11 games as an offensive guard. He's won all-conference offers. I believe it was 3rd team. He's a big guy. He's like 305, 6'5". I think he'll be a great addition to the line. They also got Tyler Brown, who came to Colorado last year, wasn't allowed to play by the NCAA for some reason which no one could figure out. The NCAA is very inconsistent in their rules for exceptions, and he was one that got caught up in the exception thing. But he'll be playing this year, and he is an excellent offensive lineman, and he loves Shedeur and loves tackling or blocking for Shedeur. And I think he will be a first string next season. And then they also got a wide receiver named Terrell Timmons Jr., who's out of North Carolina State. He didn't play a lot this last year. Had 11 catches for 195 yards. So that's like 12 yards a carry maybe, or 13. Not too bad, but nothing to write home about. And finally, they just got this guy, Justin Mayers, from UTEP. He started in 12 games at left guard and graded out at 77.9, which is obviously better than Van Wells. And I think he'll be a good addition. I don't know if he'll start, but we'll see. And then they also got offensive lineman Cahill Benson, who comes from Indiana. He started in all 12 games last year. So they're bringing in guys with a lot of starting experience, as opposed to last year when they had guys who were not starting that much for the most part. So hopefully, with the new offensive line coach that they have that came from Oklahoma and from the NFL, they'll be able to get the offensive line off to a much better start this next year, and Shedeur won't get sacked quite as much as he was. They also got a 5-star, number 1 recruit, offensive tackle. Can't recall his name off the top of my head either, but he just committed to Colorado the other day. Of course, he has to sign his letter of intent on the 20th, but I don't think there'll be any problem with that. And from what I've seen of his tape, this guy's going to start. He's 6'6". He weighs 295. He's very athletic. I watched one play where he was blocking downfield and got so far ahead of the running back that the running back got tackled from behind, which just blew my mind. I mean, here's an offensive tackle who's going faster than the running back is. That's amazing. But he'll definitely be a starter, I'm sure. Although he is a freshman, but he seemed very mature to me. He seemed, his name was Jordan Seaton, I'm sorry. His name is Jordan Seaton. And I think he's going to be an excellent addition to the offensive line. So the offensive line is shaping up. We need to see some defensive players come in. We need defensive line players. We need linebackers. And I'm sure that those will be coming in the coming days because Prime apparently knows what he's doing, although people said he couldn't recruit anybody but the skill players. Here he is bringing in the big boys, and some of them have got a lot of starting experience, and they may not be the top recruits in the world, but they're definitely skilled enough to keep Shedeur from being sacked all the time. That one guy, what's his name? Johnson? This guy here, he gave up 2 sacks last year out of 850 attempts. 2 sacks. So he can get beat, obviously, because he got beat twice, but not very often. And so that's very encouraging as well. I think the way things are shaping up, it looks like next year is going to be a good year. I know that Prime has said he wants to go to the playoff, the college football playoffs, and next year, of course, there'll be 12 teams in the playoffs. So they could get in if they win the Big 12, and they can get in if they have a very good record, and they get in as a I guess what you'd call a wild card team. But anyway, that's just that's the information I have currently. I would say so far it's looking good. I expect them to be much better next year than they were this year. So from 4-8, I would say they'd probably win at least 8 games. And maybe more. Who knows? Maybe they'll win 10 or 11. We'll just have to wait and see. But I wanted you to get this update so if you're not tracking it in other places, at least you'd have an idea of what's going on. As always, I pray that you will be abundant, that you'll live a long life, that you'll be healthy, and that God will keep you safe from harm. And I pray that He'll do the same for every person that you hold dear. And I pray that you will be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, you will make your request known to God. And the peace of God that passes all understanding will keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. This is the Vietnam Era Vet out.